One of the frustrating things about doing a tips and tricks type of video is in the recording world, you rarely do anything exactly the same in two different occasions. Every time I mic a drum set up, my approach might change just a little bit. It's kind of like playing tennis. You never know what direction the ball's going to come from, but you got to be able to hit it. A longtime customer of mine, Grant Moeller, recently hit me up about recording his new project called Crushing the Deceiver. They'd already done one CD, got hooked up with a label, and now they wanted to take it to the next level and do a good studio recording. For me, when I'm working with a metal band, most of the effort goes into getting the drums right. I like to mic the drums up kind of tight and use the console EQ before it gets to the DAW to get the sound that I want. When I'm mixing a metal band, I usually use the bottom-up mixing technique. Essentially, you're starting with the bottom of the mix, which is the kick drum, the bass, and building to the top. This group brought in a reference track of some metal bands. Lamb of God was among the ones they played me. The drums have this really in-your-face sound to them. So I use the CLA drums plug-in by Waves in order to get that tight gated sound. Then I also added a little EQ on top of it. I admit by itself that doesn't even really sound like a kick drum, but when you put it in the mix, it sits in the mix right. When I first started mixing, the final product was always going to be vinyl. So it was considered pretty much a cardinal sin to pan the low frequencies too far from the center because it presented multiple problems to the cutting engineer when the low frequencies were panned left and right. But these days when I mix, I usually pan the kick a little bit one way and the bass a little bit the other way in order to help get some definition between the two. So I worked my way up on the drum set from the bottom to the top, panning the toms and the overheads from the left to the right from the drummer's perspective. And then I add in the bass and try to get those to sit together. I really wanted to get some of that chunky low end on the guitar. So I boosted almost 8 dBs at 100 cycles and cut about 3 dBs at 600 with a real sharp shelf at 50 cycles. To get a fatter, chunky tone. Now we're going to see how that sits in the mix. My normal go-to microphone for vocals is a Neumann U87 or sometimes my TLM 149, which is actually built to take a little bit more of a beating. So for hip-hop, I usually go with the TLM 149. But in this case, I decided to go with an SM58 because Grant's got a real heavy style and I wanted to capture that sound you hear when a heavy metal singer is kind of cupping the SM58.
Now it's time to stand up. Wipe my eyes off this.
So I added this Eventide black hole reverb to it.
Now it's time.
And then I also added this air chorus to it.
Now it's time.